Yes?
Madam, the 2040 State of the World's Volunteerism Report is published.
Great. Then we start wide promotional campaign for it.
What's that, Mum? Why is that report so important?
Come here. Many years ago, before you were born, our world was not so prosperous and peaceful. Inequalities and human rights infringements had increased worldwide. At that time, humanity had many problems. People were marginalized based on their races or ethnicities, based on their genders, based on their disabilities, or based on their sexual identities. Injustice affected nature and animals too, and Mother Nature gave some warnings. Forest fires, floods, icebergs melting fast. All of these were signs of a major climate crisis coming. And in 2020, a global pandemic broke out. Its impacts all over the world were devastating. Humanity faced enormous challenges that no one could address alone. They knew common challenges required common responses. And people rose to the challenge in solidarity and volunteered to fight the crisis and to build an equal and inclusive future. One example is women group in India, Kurumbashri. They transformed volunteer activities to respond to COVID-19. This was one example of social innovation, my dear. Volunteers found new and innovative ways to contribute, like those who served free food and coffee to the doctors during the pandemic. Restrictions and distance did not stop goodwill either. People volunteered online. When the pandemic ended, authorities began to see volunteers as key partners in solving complex problems. A worldwide partnership with volunteers have made peace, justice, and inclusion possible today. So, we are where we are, thanks to their dedication.
Wow, volunteers are really important.
Yes, they are. But you know, some people didn't see them that way in the past.
Why? Weren't they like superheroes?
We can say that. They are heroes who don't wear capes. But not always they were seen as heroes. Often they were seen as service. But that changed over time. Volunteers began to get recognition from authorities. And soon, such rewarding spread all over the world. Government officials publicly supported and recognized volunteers, and their contribution began to be widely understood. For example, through partnering with volunteers, a rehabilitation center reached more persons with disabilities in Kazakhstan and helped them to get employed. Women leaders that emerged in Alga represented Kyrgyz women's interests in state bodies and improved women's rights. In Bangladesh, volunteers actively engage in poverty mapping and provide support in raising the capacities of the urban poor. A national volunteer policy is being drafted to promote partnerships between volunteers, private sector and development partners. Working together, governments and volunteers found solutions to many problems of society.
I'm glad that the world understood how important and powerful volunteers are.
Afterwards, volunteering quickly spread all over the world. Collaboration with volunteers took place on a larger scale. Volunteering has become an indispensable part of national and global development and has been measured to reflect its economic and social value ever since.
One day I'll be a volunteer too.